The fallout, though, I think is where Notre Dame has completely lost me, and I believe you as well. So I'll let you take it from here.
And I think most of the college football public, frankly, this is from national media types. I'm seeing all sorts of stuff. I mean, today it came out that the Notre Dame bookstore wouldn't allow Ivan Maziel to come and do a talk, which was already scheduled based on a book that he wrote about one of their great coaches in Frank Leahy. Like, they just said, no, this isn't happening anymore. It's all-time petty. I mean, they are the lengths that they are going, and Ivan Maziel is on the committee this year. Yeah. That is why they are saying he can no longer come, even though he wrote this glowing book about one of their great coaches, as if Ivan Maziel is like colluding with ESPN and all these other people that they're putting on their tinfoil hat. It was Ivan Maziel,
Yeah.
like.
Well, the funny thing on that, too, I saw he was tweeting. He actually recused himself, he said, from any Notre Dame discussion because of the book. He said because he had written this book and Marcus Freeman had written a foreword to the book. He said, I recused myself from any Notre Dame discussion inside the committee meetings because I thought it was a conflict of interest. And so he didn't even have anything to do with it. He was in the room, of course, but he.
Yeah, it is just one more example of how Notre Dame and their fan base have beclowned themselves. They have acted like spoiled children since they didn't get in. And I had sympathy for them. Let me start out like this. They got hosed. Notre Dame got hosed. As you led with, they shouldn't have been ranked ahead of Miami for weeks. Miami got the head-to-head. Head-to-head has to matter. Miami should have been ranked ahead of them. Miami has some pretty bad losses, like Louisville. I mean, come on, right? Like they have some losses in there that you have an argument that you should be in, even though that head-to-head happened, right? But you still got hosed based on the way that this all played out. Miami's ranked 18th or something in the first college football playoff rankings. They keep moving up, and then all of a sudden you get them to the point that all the lobbying, right, was working for Miami. All these teams trying to lobby the committee. Well, Miami did a good job and got it to the point where they were, neck and neck, side by side, and that's when the committee could make the right, correct decision because they beat you in week one. So that's the start. They got hosed. The second thing is I respect Marcus Freeman. I really like Marcus Freeman as a coach. I have the utmost respect for him as a coach and really love what he's done with Notre Dame. It's been pretty impressive what he has done with Notre Dame since Brian Kelly left. I don't think there's anybody who would dispute that. So that's where I'll start. Now, Notre Dame has acted like spoiled children, spoiled milk, crying over spoiled milk ever since this came out. There have been many teams in the past, which we talked about earlier, who have had this same thing happen to them. In fact, Texas A&M, our alma mater, had this happen, and Notre Dame got in over us when the 14 playoff happened in 2020. A&M went out and won a bowl game. They went out in the Orange Bowl and beat the tar out of the Tar Heels, North Carolina, by 20. They came back, or they pulled away in the fourth quarter. Georgia, same thing a couple years ago. Georgia, all the way through until the SEC title game. They're in. They're one of the best teams in the country. They've gone back-to-back. They get left out because they lose by 3 in the SEC title game. Did they, I don't remember. Did they say we're not going to go to a bowl game? Did they go home and take their ball home and just go back to the locker room and say, oh, we don't want to play? No, they didn't do that. This is unprecedented, and it's ridiculous that they're going to say, well, we didn't get into the college football playoff, and so now we're just not even going to play in a bowl game. I lost a lot of respect for Notre Dame for the way that they handled this. Somebody said as well, I got Notre Dame fans all spun up on Twitter as this was coming down because I replied to the On3 tweet about them, not taking the bowl invitation and deciding to sit out bowl season. I said, what is going on here? Like, do you not have a culture in your locker room? Anybody at any time, anywhere? It's just if we don't get our way, we're just going to go home. What kind of locker room culture is that? What kind of school culture is that? What are we talking about? It's ridiculous. And by the way, I had somebody in that comment section say, you're a weirdo. It was the players. It was the players, who made this decision. Again, Graham, to say anywhere, anytime, spot the ball. We want to stick it to the committee, and we're going to go out and we're going to win by 60, like Georgia did a couple years ago against Florida State. Also, Florida State got left out as well. Florida State played. Yeah. They got whooped, and I know they had a lot of players opt out. You're going to have players opt out if you're Notre Dame too. I get it. No, I'm not a weirdo for suggesting that the players that they made this decision, bad locker room culture. And by the way, as a leader, if I'm Marcus Freeman, part of being a leader is you're leading 18 to 21, 22-year-old men, sometimes 26, 27 at this point, with all the kids who are getting, seventh year of eligibility and whatever. But you're the elder statesman in the room. You're the head coach of this football team. You are supposed to be the one who goes in and stops these kids from making a dumb decision. If your seniors and your team is saying, Coach, we just don't even want to play, you say, whoa, hold on. Get everybody in the locker room in 5 minutes, and I'm going to be there. And then you walk in and you say, guys, this didn't go our way. The truth of the matter is we didn't do it. We didn't get it. We should have beaten Texas A&M. We should have beaten Miami. And I know that we had this great run and we did everything we possibly could. But the truth is sometimes things in life don't go your way. And this time it didn't go our way. So let's go out and let's play one more time for our seniors. Let's play one more time as brothers. Let's go out there and beat the tar out of whoever it is that they put next to us in a bowl game. I don't care if it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl, whatever bowl it is. Let's go out there.
Nothing against Pop-Tarts.
Nothing against Pop-Tarts. And by the way, just so you know, I put this out there. The Pop-Tart is coming for you, just so you. Better watch out. I don't know that those frosted strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon. Watching the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the People's National Championship, by the way. He's coming for you. He doesn't appreciate being pushed to the side by high and mighty Notre Dame. Okay, so just so you know, Notre Dame, watch out for that. Now, okay, some of the other stuff here too. They were really mad about Alabama specifically, right? Alabama, they shouldn't have gotten in over this. They got blown out by Georgia and whatever. Okay, well, first of all, they were 10-2 going into that game, number 1 seed in the SEC, and join a conference. How about that? If you were in a conference, you would have gone to a championship game, and you would have had to play, and you could have, okay, we beat the tar out of whoever. We beat the tar out of UVA if you're in the ACC. We beat Ohio State, or we played Ohio State to a draw, right? Ohio State beats us by 3 if you're in the Big Ten, whatever it is. You don't get to sit at home and then yell at Alabama and these other teams that are playing in a conference championship game and say, well, they got blown out while you're sitting on your ass at home. Get out of here with that. It's ridiculous. And here's the other thing. None of your wins, 0 of your wins are as good as Alabama. In the regular season, Alabama's wins much better than yours. And Graham Coffey put a great tweet out. Notre Dame faced 4 teams in the Sagarin Top 30 and went 2-2. Alabama faced 9 teams in the Sagarin Top 30 and went 7-2. Who controls Notre Dame's schedule? Notre Dame controls their schedule because they refuse to play in a conference because they want to be special. They want to be different than everybody else. And they schedule a bunch of cupcakes. Look at this. Here's your 2025 Notre Dame football schedule. Miami, you get them early on. Okay, you lose that game. No worries. Got a long season to go. Texas A&M. All right, tough game. 41-40, get beat at home. Holding call or not. You get beat. Those are your 2 best games on your schedule. Go down the rest of the schedule. Purdue, come on. Arkansas, bottom of the barrel in the SEC. Boise State, NC State, mid to lower tier of the ACC. USC, play them every year. Okay, good game. Boston College, lower tier of the ACC, almost every single year. Service Academy, okay, they were ranked. Give me a break. Pitt, Syracuse, terrible. Stanford, terrible. You control your schedule. And you're trying to tell me that, oh, we went on one of the best 10-game runs in college football history. Get out of here. By the way, 2026 schedule, what's that look like? Oh, they're about to go and tear everybody up in 2026. Pretty bad right now. Rice, no thanks. Michigan State, terrible. Purdue, terrible. North Carolina, terrible. Navy, Miami, good. Okay, good for you. You schedule Miami. Boston College, SMU, so. You should beat them. You're Notre Dame every single year. Syracuse, no good. Stanford, no good. I mean, to sit there at home and yell at all the people who are playing in a conference championship game when you don't play in a conference, you're the only ones that control your schedule. Get out of here with that. I found that to be absolutely ridiculous. And then there's another one that really got me here. There was a Notre Dame beat writer who tweeted out, he put a whole column out. It was about how all the people who decry participation trophy culture are now the people who are saying that Notre Dame should go and play for a participation trophy. All-time spin zone there. We've had the bowl system for how many years? 50 years now. Notre Dame has been playing in bowl games since 1969 all the way through. And these Notre Dame fans were saying, well, historically, Notre Dame has denied bowl games. Not since 1969. Are you guys still playing in the Four Horsemen era? No, you're not.
Before integration?
Before integration? That's when you were denying bowl games? You've been playing in bowl games since 1969 all the way through. So don't give me this whole history lesson about Notre Dame denying bowl games when you haven't really done it since 1969. You played in bowls all the way through the 80s, all the way through the 90s, 70s, all of it, all the way to now. So it has nothing to do with participation trophy culture. It has everything to do with our team. Our culture in our locker room is spot the ball. We'll play you anytime, anywhere, any place. And by the way, we're pissed. Yeah, we're pissed. We didn't make it into the college football playoff. We're going to go play in this bowl game as everyone else does, and we're going to go beat the brakes off of somebody. How about that? So I have a lot more that I could potentially say on it, but that drove me crazy. Here's something else. I just wanted to kind of do a contrast here. The Notre Dame athletic director has been on this tour, right? And he did a whole press conference going after the ACC and everything. Clown move. It was a clown move. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous the way that he has handled this. Here's how some others have handled it in the past. Kirby Smart, after Georgia got left out, they went and they won the Orange Bowl. And this is what he said after the game.
Everybody on the outside said it didn't matter. Nobody cares. Nobody should be at the game. Nobody should play in the game. These guys right here, they care. They care about each other.
They care about each other. One more time for our brothers. Kirby Smart's a leader. I know he went into that locker room that was super disappointed after they did not get into the college football playoff that year. And I guarantee you, he got up there and he said, look, it didn't go our way. That's life. Sometimes that happens. We should have done more. We should have done better. Next year, we're going to get it right. But this year, we got one more game. We're going to go out there. We're going to play for our brothers. We're going to play for our seniors. And we're going to play for the G on the side of that helmet. And they went out there and won that game. And it matters to these kids, right? And heard Chris Doering talk about this. He said, I played at Florida, and I would give anything to put on that script Gators and that jersey one more time. So I can't understand why Notre Dame doesn't want to put on that gold helmet one more time for their seniors, for this team, for the 2025 iteration of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and go out there and play one more time, because not all these kids are going to get to play in the NFL. Not all these kids are going to get to continue to play at Notre Dame. So I just don't understand the decision. I thought it was short-sighted, and I thought it was all about crying over spilled milk. And also, I'll end it on these two things. Kalani Sitake, this is how he handled it after BYU was left out of the college football playoff.
I think I said a lot yesterday, when we were talking about when the playoff committee had to make the decision. And I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not easy it can't be easy being in a playoff committee. And once they made a decision, it's set. And so I choose to be positive about everything. I think it's a hard thing for them to do. I think they did the best they could. We have an opportunity to play a game, and the goal is for us to play as many as we can. And we have one more now, and it happens to be against an amazing program like Georgia Tech. And we're looking forward to the matchup. I can't really say anything other than they did their best, and I'm looking forward to watching how the playoff plays out. I think there's some great teams in there. It's the unfortunate part is that there's a bunch of teams that could play in it, and that's what made it really difficult. And so whether they expanded or not, I have no idea. But the fact is that we get to play in this bowl game against Georgia Tech makes me really excited. And thinking about the Pop-Tarts thing, I have been known to stack Pop-Tarts on top of each other and take a bite. If you guys want to try that out, it's a good way to live your life. And so just try all the different flavors, and it's a good way to go. So that's how you get this physique, by doing things like that, being creative and innovative with your eating style.
That's how you handle it. I'd love it at the end, a little quip about the Pop-Tarts Bowl and everything, but you spin it into a positive. You don't always get everything that you want in life. We thought we should have been in. The committee's got a tough job. We understand it. And now we're going to go play another football game. We're going to have a lot of fun playing against Georgia Tech. We're excited about the matchup, all of that. This is how this meme, I felt like, summed up everything about what we've seen from Notre Dame over the past couple of days.
No. No.
A bunch of whiny babies. So that's my rant on Notre Dame. I got really spun up about it, and I thought they got hosed, but at the end of the day, the way that they have handled it since they got hosed, no sympathy. And also, finally here, 12-team playoff. If Notre Dame is ranked in the top 12, they automatically get in now, apparently. Who else gets that? Who else gets that? Nobody but Notre Dame. So you guys think you're all special. We're God's gift to college football. Well, I'm interested to see if people just stop scheduling them. Join a conference.
Yeah. I mean, you brought up so many good points in there, and, we'll try to keep this relatively short. I did just want to add a couple things. As you brought up, I think the way Kirby handled this years ago, Sataki handled this, even Mike Norvell and FSU, as you said, they played. I think a lot of people get spun up in the, meaningless bowl game. Oh, well, guys are going to opt out. Man, who cares? First of all, I don't blame guys for opting out. If you are going to the NFL and you have legitimate money on the line, I get it. I don't necessarily like it, but I get it. I'm not going to fault guys for doing that. And Notre Dame probably would have had a lot of guys opt out. Fine. As you said, the vast majority of that roster, I don't care. We can track this for years to come. The 2025 roster, how many of those guys end up getting drafted and playing more than their rookie contract in the NFL? It's going to be a short list. So the reality is, as you brought up, whoever's decision it was, Freeman, captains, the administration, doesn't really matter to me. They took an opportunity away from a majority of that team to strap it up one more time, whether they're seniors and it's their last time, or they're underclassmen and it's just another chance to play football. Because unlike basketball, baseball, any other sport, when you're done playing football, you are done. You don't play anymore. You can't play anymore. There is no legitimate, adult league football that's full-time, strap it up, tackle. And so I hate that they decided to not compete, to not give, as you said, their players, their staff, everybody involved in that program one more game. Because despite the fact that they got screwed and this process was horrendous, they still had a chance to play one more game. And like you said, they just threw in the towel and said, no, we didn't get our way. We're not going to do it. I hate that. Because as Kirby said, it matters to these guys. It should matter to those guys. to play one more game. And so I really didn't like that. And then, we'll touch on this later. But like you, I have a lot of respect for Marcus Freeman. Obviously, I mean, I haven't seen or heard anything from him. So I imagine he's, just laying low and taking this very, very hard because look, man, it's tough to do what they did last year, to go all the way to the national, come back and have what just happened happen to them is tough. So he doesn't know anybody anything. He doesn't have to come out and give a press conference. But what Clark Lee did, in my opinion, is how you handle it. And I wrote this in the newsletter as well, is that they got hosed, but you got to look in the mirror and look and say, we lost 2 games, right? If we're 11-1, if we're 12-0, we're not sitting here on the outside looking in. We're not on the wrong side of the fence if we take care of business, and we didn't. We left it up to a committee, and we got hosed, but that's a possibility that we have seen over and over again, as we just brought up with all these other teams that have a legitimate gripe with the committee since it was in place in 2014, or the BCS. There is always teams that have legitimate gripes, and Notre Dame has a legitimate gripe this year. But at the end of the day, you're 10-2. You lost 2 ball games. You did not take care of business. You want to make sure you make the playoff? Go 12-0. Go 11-1. You didn't.
Yeah.
And so
exactly
to sit here and fold up, your lawn chair and go home, I don't like it. We've got some comments here. I wanted to just touch on this one thing too before we transition into maybe some coaching stuff. This kind of ties into what I'm going to say. So Big Matt saying the tiebreaker has to change. It does, because that also hurt Notre Dame this year. And I know the Notre Dame AP going after the ACC was completely insane, in my opinion. And Brett Yormark called him out as well, which was justified because, as I wrote again in the newsletter, Miami is a member of the ACC. Notre Dame is a member of the ACC in everything other than football. So why on earth would the ACC owe you anything? I know there's the scheduling agreement, and sure, it helps the ACC financially. I don't care. The ACC is trying to survive. Miami is in their conference. ACC, whether it's Miami, Clemson, FSU, they are trying to survive. They're going to promote their teams. If you want to join. By the way, they've asked you to join. You said no. So they don't owe you anything in terms of PR to get you into a playoff. Craziness. But to Big Matt's point, if the ACC had their tiebreaker structure figured out, this would have likely sorted itself out, because Miami would have found themselves in the ACC title game. Assuming they win that ball game, that bumps out your JMU. Miami gets in by the merit of winning the ACC, and that opens up one more slot for Notre Dame. So
yeah,
there's a whole lot that goes into this. The ACC does need to get their tiebreakers fixed. I've heard a lot of people say most conferences more than likely will go to, after head-to-head in a tiebreaker, it will be where you're ranked by the committee, so that they have their highest ranking teams playing and not a 5-loss Duke team like we just saw. But
yeah,
anyway, I think we summed it up pretty well in that it's a real shame how they responded to a legitimate gripe. I would have liked to seen them, get up off the mat, respond, and take ownership for losing 2 games, and then just say, like you brought up a million times, hey boys, life ain't fair, is what it is. We got one more game to play. We got weeks of practice. We'll still be together. Instead, we're just done. And guys that are seniors that aren't going to the NFL, you're done. By the way, the game you played on Thanksgiving weekend, that's the last game you're ever going to play, because we're just done. We're not playing anymore.
Right. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, because I know we have other stuff we need to get to. Maybe a tiny bit of free football here tonight. But so I think Kevin, a Notre Dame fan, is in our chat tonight, which I'm glad he watched the show. Thank you for coming on. Maybe not watching anymore. We'll see.
I think he did bow out.
he probably bounced after my rant. But he says that the decision not to play in a bowl game was because a lot of the team would sit out for the draft, and it was a decision that was made by the seniors. Well, that doesn't negate my point. That's exactly what we were talking about. I do think Anywhere, anytime, spot the ball. I guess it just means more in the SEC. Kirby Smart.
Drinkwitz said that.
Drink said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Texas A&M will play a bowl game. You guys you can't play a bowl game. Unless we get the Golden Dome gets exactly what we want, we're not going to do it. I will say I do think that we need to incentivize playing in the bowl games, not necessarily for the teams, but for players. Because if the players are incentivized to play in these bowl games with a bonus or something like that, you know what I mean? Like Pop-Tarts Bowl gives each player, based on their Jeremiah Love, right? Jeremiah Love is going to get $200K to play in this game, or $150,000 or whatever, right? Like it's strata, so that players will get some sort of bonus to play in these sorts of games, or NIL deals, right, to play in these games. Like we have to have some sort of incentive so that kids don't opt out, because that has hurt the bowl product. So I understand what Kevin's saying there. Yeah, like half the team was going to opt out. Like, why would we play? Okay, I'm with you. Like I think we actually need to incentivize the bowl game structure. Final thing I'll say on Notre Dame is this whole idea that the ACC, who is owned by ESPN, and ESPN, who has most of the college football playoff and owns all the bowl games in terms of the media rights, the idea that they were conspiring with the committee to keep Notre Dame out of the playoff is one of the craziest tinfoil hat conspiracies that I have seen in college football in a long time. I mean, this was just a year ago that they put Notre Dame in the playoff, and Notre Dame makes it all the way to the title game. We know that Notre Dame has a coast-to-coast fan base. They have one of the biggest fan bases in college football. No, ESPN doesn't want to keep Notre Dame out. Like, they would rather them be in. But based on what the committee said and what the committee did in that room, they decided that Notre Dame hadn't done enough. And the head-to-head with Miami gets in over you. I don't know everything that the ACC was tweeting, about Notre Dame or about Miami or whatever. But of course, like you said, they are pushing the teams that are in their conference. You decided not to join. Join a conference. Stop whining about it when you don't get your way, because you're the only team, except for like UMass, that gets to pick your own schedule, have your own media deal, and do all this. No, we're done with that. College football should be done with it. And the ACC network was replaying the Notre Dame and the Miami game. Well, that wasn't the ACC, the conference's decision. I mean, that's ESPN. So, yeah, okay, maybe you have a gripe with ESPN about that, but that's about the only legitimate gripe that you have with ESPN. The whole thing about ESPN trying to keep you out, give me a break.